the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on a Monday morning. We're glad that you joined us wherever and whenever it is that you join us each and every day here on the Auburn Blitz and making Auburn Blitz part of your daily Auburn athletic intake. It's Brett and Faith to get your week started here on this Monday morning, bright and early. Faith, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good to see you. It hasn't been but a few hours, but
Yeah.
hope you got some rest last night and maybe a little bit of rejuvenation and a quick turnaround trip, a fun trip outside of the result of the game. I think everybody will agree with that, but we are going to talk about that. I mean, Lord knows what bad elements are there to talk about. This game was perfect, right? I don't know what everybody's complaining about, right? There were no bad calls. There were no I don't know, just nothing to break down, right? Just a perfect overall game by everybody, Oklahoma, Auburn, and the officials. So, no, there is a lot, obviously, to talk about. And we'll talk about some calls in that game and some things that we discussed during the game, after the game, the post-game show. Again, thanks to Pepper Tree Steaks and Wine for what they do and bringing that to everybody each and every day. Also, a lot of things for Auburn to work on. Like you can point to these calls, these no calls, whatever you want to do. There were bad no calls and there were bad calls. So, yeah, you can look at that and you can dwell on that, but there are things that Auburn needs to do to get better as well if they want to move forward. So we're going to dive into a lot of that. Jackson Arnold, in your opinion, did he advance? Is he the same? Did he take a step back? How did that affect? How did that environment affect him? Did it affect him at all? Returning to Oklahoma, also the defensive side for both teams, both Oklahoma and Auburn. How did they play in this game? It was a low-scoring affair, and Auburn had its chances, but we'll talk all about that. But Faye, just your initial reaction now that we're a couple of days removed from that debacle that we watched in person. Just your reaction.
Yeah, I think if there's statements coming out about how the game was officiated, Auburn and honestly everybody involved has the right to be upset about how the game was played and the outcome of the game. I think Jackson Arnold was put in a situation that a lot of guys in today's world are with the transfer portal and NIL, where you have to go back to your previous school. And so, I think he handled the environment really well. I think Auburn's offensive line might not have handled it as well. But overall, I think the way the officiating was moving throughout the game obviously changed the outcome, but I think it changed the momentum that Auburn had throughout the game. And I think defense looks a little bit better than they had through the first couple of games. And I think I don't think it set Auburn back at all moving forward to Texas A&M this upcoming weekend.
All right, that's a lot to digest. I'm going to try to digest what you just said because you brought up a lot of good points, and we're going to talk about all that. First thing I'm going to talk about is moving forward. We are in a situation in this day and age now where everything is overly scrutinized. Everything is able to be seen multiple angles, multiple times, whatever. I'm going to say something out of the gate that I think I've said on my programs for a long time. And I think a lot of people can attest if they watched anything I've ever done or said. And I don't understand why we have part-time officials. I'm going to start there. Do we know how much money the SEC and the NCAA make off college athletics every year? Let's just stay in this conference, right? This is $1 billion business. Billion with a B. $1 billion business. And you're going to go hire a superintendent from a school system to come referee a game that millions of people are watching and hundreds of millions of dollars gets put on. Look, I'm not defending gamblers. I'm not. If you want to gamble your money away, you and I were on a bus yesterday, and this dude gets on there, this young guy gets on there, and he goes, oh, my gosh, the lock of ever on football, Falcons over Carolina. Anybody know what the score was? I almost, and you know I did. You know I bit my tongue. I almost spoke up in the thing and said, look, buddy, there ain't no such thing as a lock on anything. And I just kept my mouth shut. And then I looked at the score later, and it was 30-0 Carolina. And I was like, oh, yeah, there you go. You're going to learn just like everybody else does when they think everything's just a lock. They're going to go put their mortgage on it. That's what happens when you bet. But I'm going somewhere with this. Like, why do we have – and I just made up a scenario because I knew a superintendent that used to be an official. They're everyday people. They come back and they go to work other places, but they have to fly out these crews. And look, I know they make probably decent money, but I mean, are you kidding me right now? With so much on the line, you got a bunch of guys that come together on a Thursday, travel to the game, call the game, and fly back to their normal jobs on Monday. They're back doing things that normal people do in the United States. And so I'm just confused at why we are in 2025 and we put so much emphasis on things and we spend so much money and so much revenue sharing and all. We got part-time officials. It's the most important part of the game. If you don't have officials, you don't have a game. But we're going to put all this on a bunch of part-time guys. And then, of course, they catch the hell from everybody, coaches, fans, media, all of it when they blow calls. Just like they did in this game here. So I'm starting there. I just like your opinion on that, Faith, because you're hiring a bunch of guys to go referee games all over the country, and they're part-time. Can we not pay them full-time pay?
I mean, that's a great point because you are putting this much responsibility in these normal people who do have every single day jobs. Like, it is just beyond me. I don't know. I think it literally looks like these refs just did not attend any sort of practice, training, anything like that. Did your full-time job get in the way of your part-time job? Like, I agree with you. How much money is the SEC just holding on to, or
I mean, is it important for the SEC to pay them some more money, right? So they don't have to put out statements in the middle of the night like they did Saturday night when a lot of people had already gone to bed. They issue a statement on the Auburn-Oklahoma game, and everybody's read it. I'm not going to read it to everybody. You're old enough to read. You can go to our Instagram if you hadn't seen it. You can go to our personal pages. Faith said she watched 3 teams Saturday. I did too. But then they quote the rule. And, when Molly McGrath asked the official during the game, he acted like he didn't know what the rule was. He acted like he didn't know what she was talking about. He said, oh, all we know is that they had 11 guys on the field ready for play. What? That's what you need. That's your explanation for that. So again, I'm not going to say that's the only. There were 2. Look, every game takes its own shape, and there's about 5 plays in a game that determine the outcome of the game, and that means that those 5 plays can determine if it's a blowout or if it's close or whatever. The score could have easily been 17-3 Auburn at halftime. It was 10-10. But it could have easily been 17-3. We can talk about the scoop and score. Okay, it was ruled a scoop and score on the field. So it was reviewed, and last time I checked, if it's not conclusive, then you can't flip it. So at best, when you go back and look at the film, you go, well, I can't, I don't know, we called it this on the field, so we got to stick with it because there's nothing definitive that tells us we can overrule this, right? So with that being said, they come and they overrule it. And they go, okay, never mind, that's an incomplete pass. So Auburn got that one taken away. And then shortly after that, and again, a bad special teams play led to Oklahoma being set up down there inside Auburn's 25-yard line where they could throw that pass, and which was rehearsed, by the way. Okay, they want to act like, oh, well, we need to – you practiced it. Bob Stoops admitted it. He admitted you practiced that during the week, so you knew you were going to throw in a deceptive play, which you knew were against the rules because the SEC clearly stated what the rule was, and you intentionally broke it. So that's another issue in itself. Their faith that the SEC is going, well, dadgum, there's people out here saying that they knew they were going to do it and they intentionally did it, and then then Ben Arbuckle shoots a bird at our team. It's just all right. So those were two plays. Yes, it was 10-10. After all that, Auburn had a chance. And I'm gonna come back and get your thoughts. I'm just kind of recapping. Then you have the most horrendously missed pass interference call right dead in the middle of the field, where everybody in the world to see, even Oklahoma people went, man, that was about as obvious as the nose on all of our faces. And the referee was turned completely around. He never saw it. It's hard to criticize him because he was looking in the stands. He was running from the play. I just, again, it's his job to be in the right position to be able to see it because he's got the back part of the field. He's got to be deep to see that. So anyway, there are a lot of things on the Auburn side we'll get to in just a minute, but those are the major blunders by the – I don't know that I can ever remember, Faith, a game, and I know this gets thrown around. I tweeted this yesterday. I know the term, that's the worst officiating game in the history, gets thrown around every week by fans, right? But I seriously think this one collectively could have been the worst. That when you had so many impactful calls go against one team, that it cost them the football game. And you can say what you want to do, but you can just say.
Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating and just annoying that all of this happened. But is there going to be accountability actually taken? Is there going to be what's going to happen to these officials that let all of this happen? Probably nothing.
Nothing. I mean, and whatever they do, it's going to be, what did they say? Appropriate accountability to be applied without additional comment. Yeah, that's fine. And Tubbs, let me tell you something. I'm going to bitch on here because it impacted the game. And I do realize that they did score, but there's a lot of things that happen in a game that determine the outcome of the game. I'm about to get to the things that Auburn got to work on to get better. Yeah, they missed other opportunities. Jackson Arnold missed a wide open Cam Coleman for a touchdown. I'm not saying this is the only thing, okay? So chill. All right? Everybody needs to understand that you're on the road. It's a tough environment. And when you have multiple things that pile up against you and you only lose by 7, and then I see the other side of the Auburn fan base just going, oh, gosh, we're just terrible. We're just terrible. So there's a lot of things that go into it. I don't think Auburn's terrible. I think Auburn's got a pretty good football team. But, again, it's hard to fight those kind of things on top of you not executing some things that you had to do. So in fairness to everybody involved that's watching and commenting and all that, we're just talking about what happened in the game first, okay? We all have our own opinions. But I don't think anybody can argue that there were 2 very egregious calls that went against Auburn early. And if you're down 17-3, a la Oklahoma at that point, your whole mentality is different. Maybe Auburn's mentality is different. You don't know how the outcome is going to be. So that's in a nutshell. But, yeah, Faith, going back to the statement from the SEC, I mean, I don't know. Do you feel better or worse that they came out and admitted that it was what it was?
Better in the sense that Auburn people feel like they feel validated for their feelings, because a lot of people, like you said, always have to say, that was the worst officiating game I've ever seen in my entire life. The refs cost the game. Okay, well, SEC came out and they said that they basically screwed up the whole game. Okay. I mean, you're validated, but what is it going to do for the game? Nothing. So,
Yeah, I just almost rather you not even come out and say anything at that point. So, all right, so let's talk about some things that Auburn needs to work on. Again, fight through things. Auburn still took the lead 17-16, and then there were a couple of drives in the game. The first drive of the third quarter for Oklahoma, they kind of went in a hurry up and they moved it well. And then you go back, I think they ended up kicking a field goal on that drive. And then the last drive they went in hurry up and really moved the ball down the field, had a big play. Again, that one was reviewed, maybe juggled that one going out of bounds. You can say he had, yes, he had 2 feet in bounds, but did he have possession and all that? I'm not getting into that one either. But the whole deal is they went back and reviewed, said it was a catch when the ball actually ended up in the stands, by the way, because the whole take is you're supposed to complete the catch all the way through the boundary if you're going out of bounds. Well, he fumbled it, went in the stands. But anyway, they reviewed it, said it was a catch. They end up scoring, taking the lead. But Oklahoma looked like they were better when they were in hurry up. And if I'm looking at the film, if I'm Oklahoma, I'm going, man, I'm changing my pace, because probably 2 of our best drives of the game were when we were in hurry up, moving things around, maybe simplified things a little bit, didn't have as much motion. And so I don't know. That was just a quick analysis for me. But Auburn did take the lead, Faith. They had that lead 17-16, and they couldn't hold on to it.
yeah, Oklahoma's last drive of the game was definitely their best one that they had the entire game. And, we've always said, too, that Jackson Arnold is better in those hurry-up drives as well. We don't really see.
Yeah, we didn't see much of that either. So,
yeah. I mean, he waited until the very last 3 seconds, almost every single snap in the play clock to snap the ball. And it was loud there. I can confirm down on the field it was loud. But that's what you're going to get when you go play an SEC game somewhere. Like,
for sure.
You expect when you go to Texas A&M next week.
I'm going to be honest. I've been to most of the places around the SEC, and I mean, it was loud, but it wasn't overwhelming. Like, I mean, seriously, it's not. It just was not. Maybe others will disagree, but I mean, it was definitely a great environment. But I didn't think it was anything unmanageable. And I thought, again, when you look at some execution issues, Auburn had some execution issues. Starting with the offensive line. Offensive line, I think they've downgraded it to only 9 sacks now instead of 10. When they went back and reviewed, and I think they took a sack away. But I mean, when your quarterback is getting hit and hurried and sacked that many times, again,
get the ball out of your hands. How many times do you have to hear that from people? How many times do you need to get hit and go to the ground? Good for Jackson Arnold for popping back up each time. That's great. That's awesome. Get the ball out of your hands. Like, God forbid, at some point, you might not pop up that easy.
Well, I don't know what it says about Jackson Arnold that he's willing to stand in the pocket after getting sacked that many times and continue to get hit. I mean, it's like, hey, look, the thing about him is that you can say, man, he doesn't have quick feet, that he's ready to roll at the first sign of pressure. He just stands in there and takes one to the chops, man. I mean, but you're right. I think the biggest part of what you analyze with Jackson Arnold is, and we heard this from several people after the game, is, he struggles to throw receivers open. And a lot of people that know football know what that means. That You're not waiting to throw it directly to the receiver. I mean, you got to throw and Auburn's got elite receivers. And again, there were a couple of times where he overthrew Cam Coleman. One was in the end zone after that big run by Jeremiah Cobb that I thought was the best. Obviously, it was the best run of the day. It was 44 yards, but set Auburn up. And then immediately he had a stop and go, and he just put – when you see your receiver separate that much, you just got to make sure you don't at that point go, I just can't overthrow him now. You know, when you see him get 5 yards in full speed on the defensive back like he did, just don't throw it where he can't catch it. And he did just by a hair. You know, Cam Coleman had to lay out, actually touch the ball, but still, Cam Coleman should have caught that ball running into the end zone. Now, the other time that he overthrew him, Cam stopped running his route for just a half a second. And that was the difference. So there were a couple of times there, again, you brought it up multiple times, you know, that chemistry, that understanding between the receivers and the quarterback are, you know, that's got to be, you know, that's what you practice every day for, is getting that timing down and all of that. So there were some misfires. Again, we can sit on here and dwell about all the bad calls and the bad no calls, but Auburn still had plenty of opportunities to connect and score, and they didn't do it. And then they had another opportunity where they missed a field goal, which was terrible, by the way. That was just, you get a penalty again and backs you up 5 more yards, and then you bring Connor Gibbs out for his first field goal opportunity, and it wasn't close. I mean, it was just not – it just never had a chance. So, yeah, I mean, for all the things that you want to look at, I mean, Auburn's defense in the second half, they kind of bent, but they didn't break. They held Oklahoma to a couple field goals there where if they go in and score touchdowns, they could probably push that game away and probably it could get out of hand coming down the stretch.
I mean, this is just – it's so much of just negativity throughout this entire thing, and it's like –
negativity from what?
Just all over. It's like, what I think really, because I mean, you came down after at like 7 minutes left, and Auburn was still up at this point, and you were like, what's wrong? And I was like, this whole thing is just frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Yep.
And this is the first SEC team we're playing of the season. Do we think it's going to get any easier? No, we've got Texas A&M coming up, Georgia, Missouri, and it's like it's only going to get worse.
Well, I wouldn't say that yet. I mean, you know, worse is that's a relative term. I mean,
well, teams are going to be harder to play.
Well, we'll see that too. I mean, I don't know what Oklahoma's going to finish. I don't know how Oklahoma's going to finish. I think they're pretty good defensively. I will say that. I think they proved that. We couldn't run the ball on them. We were one of the top running teams in the league going into this game. And again, I thought they did. We'll see. Time will tell. Okay. When we move away from this game, Oklahoma's got a stretch. We'll see how they react. You know, in a few weeks, we'll know a lot more about both teams, and we'll know a lot more about everybody else in the league too. What you can't do is, I think Patrick said, you can't let the Oklahoma game beat you next week. You can't let the Oklahoma game roll into Texas A&M, because I want to go back to something that you and I talked about before the season started. But before we do that, we've got some people that we want to talk about in Sensagreen.
Sensagreen, for air that's cool and clean. Call on Sensagreen. It is dollar days. You just pulled that. Call Sensagreen for major discounts on HVAC repairs and installs, plus installation with Professor Greenbacks. Get HVAC smart at sensagreen.com through Thanksgiving with up to $100 off HVAC repairs, $500 off installation work, and $1,500 off new HVAC system. Sensagreen with Carrier. Turn to the experts. How cool are these coupons?
Scout Program Management, a full construction management firm in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm telling you right now, they handle all these huge projects for municipalities and educational projects for school systems. I've witnessed it. I watched it. They do it the right way, and they hold the contractors accountable. When your government, city government, or your school system, your local school system is spending millions of dollars, you want a company that will guide you through that process and hold people accountable. Scout Program Management is that group. Call them in Birmingham today. Go check them out online. You will not be sorry, I promise.
Bunkers in downtown Auburn. If you were there during the game, I want to see some pictures. I know that it was packed. I know that there were a ton of people there. But if you're not going to be able to go out to College Station this weekend, make sure you go to Bunkers. Go to Bunkers on Thursday and Friday night leading up to it. Go ahead and get out there. They've got some great happy hour deals, amazing food. And I mean, I just can't wait to go back there.
No doubt about it. A safe haven for fun, for sure. All right. We said before the season, we looked at this 3-game stretch coming up. 2 of these games on the road. We said Auburn at worst needs to split Oklahoma, Texas A&M. Well, guess what? You're in must-win territory now. You got to go to a very tough place to play where Auburn's had success, though. Let's be honest. You got to go to a very tough place to play, and now you got to go and win the football game. Again, at some point in time, for 4 years now, all we've heard is excuses. And yes, that game Saturday was terrible. Things went against you. You didn't win the game. It sucks. The SEC admits it. Now go look at the film of the things that you could have done in the game that maybe could have still prevented you from losing that game. Okay? Are the things that Jackson Arnold needs to work on fixable? I think that's the first key thing. Is he going to get better, Faith, at getting the ball out of his hands? You cannot sit back there for 5, 6, 7 seconds and survey the field and wait for everybody to run around and come back off their route and do all this kind of stuff. Yeah, you're not going to do it. And again, your offensive line can only do so much. So again, how many of those sacks, when you go back and look, are on him, and how many are on the offensive line? There were a few times that they had pressure and they did some stunts and they did some things where, he didn't have time. And as soon as he got the ball, maybe within 2 seconds, he had somebody in his face. That's different. But if you're back there hopping around and waiting and stuff, I mean, you got to get better with that. And the offense has to do better. The offensive play calling has to be better to put him in situations where if they know he's going to do that, he can't sit back there and do that. But going back to what I was saying, Faith, we said this. Now, if you want any type of goal that you had set before the season started, if you go and lose this game to Texas A&M, it makes it extremely difficult to get to that 8-win mark, in my opinion. And I think you agree with that.
There's no question about it. I mean, go back to Oklahoma's defense, their D-line. I mean, they had a good D-line, and we talked about that a lot in the post-game reaction show. But Jackson Arnold was holding the ball for 4 to 5 seconds on average. And against an SEC team, you got to get it out within 2 seconds at the most. I mean, you just can't keep taking those sacks over and over again. And something has to give. You had guys open. He goes and he scans the field, which is good. If his first option isn't open, he's not throwing it away like we've seen in the past. But he doesn't go back and look again. And he doesn't, not every time, but he doesn't throw the route that these guys are supposed to be running, even when they're covered, when they're supposed to get open. He waits until they're fully open. And you can't do that against these kind of teams.
No, you can't. Ed said almost all of Auburn's wins against SEC have been by 2 scores. We don't win 1 possession games. We remember somebody was talking to us about that going to Oklahoma, Faith. I think it was Friday night. And they said, Auburn, that's been the problem. Auburn can't win big games, or they find ways to not win them. And again, whether it's officiating or whatever that contributes to that, but when the horn sounds, Auburn's on the wrong side of the scoreboard, and it's been way too often, over the last 4 years. And look, at the end of the day, the rubber's going to still hit the road. The rubber's still going to hit the road with Hugh Freeze. And when you look at it from a standpoint of how is Auburn going to be judged, look at this schedule. This isn't as tough a schedule as Auburn's about to have next year or the year after the year after. 7 wins isn't good enough. I'm just saying it right now. And it sucks that you feel like you had this one stolen from you and all this kind of junk. And you had an opportunity to win, and you could be off to a 1-0 start in SEC play, but you're not. You're not. So what's going to be the excuses next Saturday, Faith, when we're sitting in the press room? What's going to have gone wrong next Saturday that we're talking about? Well, what could have done better? Or we missed this play, and we knew if we could have gotten this one. I'm tired of hearing it, man. I really am. And and I'm on the side of Auburn from the official standpoint. Yeah, it sucked. Again, I'll keep talking about that part because it did contribute to the loss. But at some point in time, man, you have got to figure out a way to just get it done. And that's where we are. And we talked about it before this. We talked about it all summer to the point we were sick of talking about it. And now we're here in the middle of it. And one of these games is behind you and you got an L. So how do you cure that? How do you show that you've taken the next step? How do you show that your roster is better, which it is? You go win the game on the road because your back's against the wall. That's what good programs do, Faith. They go, okay, we dropped that one. We got to go get this one at all cost. We got to go get it at all cost, because if Auburn goes 0-2 in these and gets to that off week with Georgia coming in, we already know what the mentality is going to be in an off week. I mean, you think it's negative on here right now? You think all these comments, and there's one guy on here that I'm not sure he's ever had a positive thing to say about anybody, including himself. It's unbelievable how miserable some people are, that I just would probably stay in the bed with the covers over my head if I couldn't say anything more positive than one of the dudes on here. But the bottom line is, if you think it's negative now, what do you think it's going to be after next Saturday going into off week on this show?
Miserable. I might not be on here.
Well, I hate to say it, but if I'm going to endure the pain,
I think I might have to.
You're going to have to endure the pain too. But again, I think it all lies in Auburn's hands. Again, when you look at this schedule, we all said it before the season started. I mean, 8-9 wins is where this team has to be this year.
Well, they should be. That's all right. They should be. This on paper, I don't know how many times we have to say it, is a roster that is better than the rosters we've had in the past. You go and you look on paper, and all of these guys are talented enough to win these games.
Well, Ed just said something we hadn't got to yet, but I was getting to it. Special teams has been and continues to be horrible. And I don't know. And look, and again, Malcolm has to know where he is on the field. You can't field a ball at the 1 yard line. You just can't do it, man. And that, again, that's a mental mistake. How many times did Auburn start inside its own 15-yard line? Now, again, immediately you come out and throw a deep pass down the sideline to kind of bail you out of that. But Auburn's starting backed up way too many times because of blocks in the back on special teams. The Hudson Cock blunder on the punt is what set up that play for Oklahoma to score on. Okay, I mean, I don't know what he's doing there. I mean, punt the football, dude. I mean, he had a little time to punt it. He tried to make a juke move on a guy, which nobody thinks that's a good idea, with a punter trying to juke a guy coming at him. And then he stumbles and kind of throws the ball for it. Yes, there's plenty of things. And you and I said this on the postgame show, and I looked at you and I told you, when you come on the road, you almost have to play perfect ball. To use Hugh Freeze's quote, We felt like we could steal one on the road tonight. And that's the way you look at it most of the time in this league, is that you have to go steal games on the road. And Auburn did have a chance, but you can't steal games on the road giving up 9 sacks, quarterback holding the ball too long, missing open receivers, too many penalties, and a boatload of special teams mistakes. Again, when you want to lay it all out there for everybody to look at, there's plenty of things Auburn's got to clean up, and they go right back into the wolf's lair in Texas A&M, where it's going to be louder than it was this Saturday and a little bit more intimidating of an environment in Kyle Field. And they remember what happened last year in Auburn. They remember how that game went. And so they're waiting on this opportunity, and they had an off week this past week, so they just came off a big win against Notre Dame, where they went on, and so now you got to look at it from that standpoint. You put yourself in a must-win situation, Faith. There's no other way to spin it.
Hopefully Texas A&M will spell Auburn right on their Jumbotron before.
Yeah, I saw that. You and I never even talked about that. There was so much other stuff to talk about. Ed said, go watch the Murray review. It will tell you a lot about the play calling and J.A. not reading coverage correctly. I mean, there are definitely problems there, Ed. You're right. There were opportunities early in that game, and he didn't see it and didn't throw it. I mean, you and I have been saying this for weeks. And you said it. I said it. The concern about the down the field throwing has not been good because we hadn't done it yet. And so we get in the game against Oklahoma, and there were a couple of good plays, but there was plenty of not so good plays. Running game was stifled for both teams. Neither team could run the football. So I don't really know what that says. We'll have to, again, wait and see. But you got to run the football if you want to win in this league. And that's including Oklahoma, okay? That's to the Oklahoma people out there. They've got plenty to work on too. I thought there were numerous times John Mateer had guys open and he threw missiles. I mean, dude, you don't have to throw a heat seeker every time. I mean, there's some things he's got to work on too, where he missed plays. They gave, again, of course, both sides missed plays. I think that's pretty easy. So, JC23 said, we're in trouble, y'all, not coming out of College Station with a W. Well, I think the culmination of how things have gone the last 4 years kind of has everybody in this mood. Whereas used to, Auburn would go on the road and almost expect to win. When I was growing up, never would say, oh, we're going there and we ain't got a chance. That's not the mentality anymore of this Auburn fan base. More people than not say, oh, we can't go there and win. That's impossible. So it's because they have a good sample size to give them that feel. Kyle said the offensive and defensive player winning football, but special teams refs gave us the loss. I mean, plenty of stuff for Auburn to work on, Faith, for sure. So let's get to some more of our partners here before we get off. Again, we can belabor this to death. Old Number One Customs, wrapping up the bathroom project today. So can't wait to get with everybody and tell everybody and show everybody what a great job they've done on this bathroom. You need to call them if you got a renovation project going on, 334-752-6162 for your next remodel project at your house.
Go ahead and get that JFA Blue Plumbing to install the home Atlas water filter duo for just $15.99. It's so important to have filtered water throughout your entire house. So call on them at 844-JFA Blue. And Oliver Ross, there's going to be a lot of tailgates going on, sorority, fraternity, day parties. Get Oliver Ross to be your bartending service for those events. It's important to have professionals. They'll come in there, do it all, and then they will clean up after themselves. And that's honestly probably one of the best parts of it.
There's no doubt about it. Nobody want to do all that. I mean, just hire somebody to do it and hire a professional to do it and get it done. And also want to thank Russell Medical Center, now part of our programming overall, the podcast and our show every day at lunch. At Russell Medical, care starts with knowing you. From preventative checkups to advanced diagnostics, we bring big city capabilities with the comfort of a trusted local provider. Our experienced team delivers top-tier treatment and a personal touch, building relationships that last a lifetime. We're committed to keeping our community healthy, investing in the latest technology, training, and patient experience. Russell Medical, your partner for every stage of health. And it's great to have a good healthcare provider. And we are proud to be partnered with Russell Medical. All right, Faith, man, lots of comments. Again, we would love to read everybody's comments, but we don't have that much time. Again, I know to everybody's shock, I'm about to hit the road, and we're about to film another On the Road show, and excited about that. We'll be in Birmingham, Clay, Chalkville, and Thompson this week. Boy, I don't know that it gets much bigger. It's pretty big in Alex City this past Friday. I don't know it gets much bigger than Ben Russell Spain Park. That was an unbelievable football game, by the way, with Benjamin Russell winning it. Lots of D1 talent all over the field. Kingston Preyear, Brock Bradley. That's the Clemson. Man, the Clemson needs Brock Bradley now. Clemson called and said, hey, can you go ahead and just step aside and from Spain Park come on to Clemson, because, boy, they are atrocious. We didn't have time to go through results from around the conference, but Vandy with a 70 spot on a team they lost to last year, that's eye-opening. But we're going to save that for tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Auburn Blitz. But again, we appreciate all of you out there so very much that watch us every single day. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go do that. Hit the like button. All comments are welcome, positive, negative, in between. Again, this is your outlet to kind of air your grievances, and there's plenty to go around. So maybe leading up to this game on Saturday, and then afterwards Saturday, we'll come back and we'll have a more jubilant crowd. So, all right, Faith, I'll let you send us out.
Hope everybody has the best day and best week ever.
Absolutely. Be nice to people. That's just as easy to do that as it is to be mean. So we appreciate it so much, and we appreciate all of you for watching us on the Auburn Blitz.